Good morning everybody and welcome back to another video where today I've got something a bit different for you as I have a mock to show you all. And it's a pretty large one, so I'm having trouble finding a space where I can fit it, and apologise for the echoey audio. But this is my expansion to the official Lego Ideas Botanical Garden alongside the Friends Botanical Garden to make, well, what do you know, a bigger botanical garden. Because I've seen so many people put this model into their city and I am like, that is great. I think it looks fantastic next to modulars. But anyone that has been to a botanical garden knows that it's not just about those glass houses. It is about all of the lovely plants and educational opportunities, including our pollinator garden down here, as well as some other things that I'm going to show you, forming a much larger natural park kind of environment. And that is what we've got here. It is a superbly messy but bright and colourful mock, mostly centered on grass plates that, yes, maybe buckling a little bit under the tiling, but that is not my problem right now. I should have milled plated it, but this was actually done very briefly. While this has been in the planning stages since about April, so about 2 months ago, I actually built this over the course of 3 or 4 days, showing you that it is really quite simple and is largely possible thanks to stuff like the pick-a-brick wall in Lego stores having these wonderful flowers, obviously my spare parts collection, such as getting all of these from various different Mario sets, botanical sets, hence the bluebells and the like sunflower and daisy pieces from the Petite Bouquet, as well as Rivendell, forming our dry arid garden, which I'll show you up close later. Of course, 2 big sets, various stuff from City for our picnic benches, and even a little bit of the deco tree over here with the forest. And potentially actually one more thing, my favourite, which is this banner stand here, using the plum blossom plant pot from the Four Gentlemen collection to create the roof of this gazebo. But yeah, quite a simplistic mock, but I absolutely love its effect. I'm just going to go over the top and give you guys a footprint. I actually think it works really well in 2 segments. We have sort of the garden, or like main central garden, which could easily be displayed on its own, and then almost the secondary display for the secondary greenhouse here, which also works really lovely on its own as well. But together it creates this wonderful whole garden mess, and this is the kind of footprint I would like to dedicate to my botanical gardens if I was ever to have a future city. But we're going to go on a tour today. I had a lot of fun putting this together. It was something I was really excited to do. I don't usually get to play around with such detailing techniques. Learning to mess around with my landscaping parts was new, and I actually haven't done a big layout like this since I did a fairground back in 2022, which I also have a video here on the channel and you can check out. And this is also my first large-scale mock with lights as well. So let's jump in close to all details. We're going to start with our tour bus, which of course can pull up to our main entrance here. This of course is just the normal city set here, and is actually strategically covering up a really dodgy part of the wall. So we'll leave that there and come on over to our main entrance here, where we are being greeted by one of the park employees here, dressed up rather excitably in his petal hat with fairy wings. It's an absolutely absurd figure, but I do love him, and I think he does a good job at showing how exciting the botanical gardens can be. As I knock over the fountain here that sits at the entrance, you can see that you've just got a small garden wall as well. These establishments usually have large gates and so on. I wanted this one to feel a little bit more like an open garden. So coming in, we have the same tiling that you see on the official set, and there's a couple of different paths for you to choose. You've got the main path that leads up to the glass house, largely inspired of course by the Palm House at Kew, but also you've got trails that sort of snake their way through the garden, as well as a big latitudinal path that comes along the front. We actually have the entranceway here. I didn't actually get the entrance gift with purchase, despite having bought this set very close to its launch. However, I recreated this using parts from my own collection, and I've just sort of expanded it outwards. So it was on sort of a rounded footprint. I took it off its base, mounted it onto the base plate, continued the torch design out, and then sort of extended these planting beds to the side. Of course, lacking the tulip pieces that came in the official set, because I haven't got my hands on any of those. So we just replaced the big ones with yellow flowers and then ice creams. And that's one thing you can really do with these gardens, is try and get creative with your plant designs. We've of course got our modern version of Pippin Reed coming down the centre path here, although no real high references are particularly present in this model. But for now, I think let's follow our winding path off and we'll head to the left. So created here using parts from the pad wall. We've got the 2x4 Mario tile, some jumpers so you can pose minifigures, and we come across to this bed on the right, which of course continues from the main here, miniature of our fir trees. We've got this little pinky flower here, and then just above our mushroom friend we have one of the sculptures. This is something you often see at these large Victorian establishments, is these various different sculptures and so on, representing, I don't know, maybe knights or owners of the original glasshouse. So we actually have one here on this side which is using a Kingdom's horse head in gold, had that in my spare parts collection, and then this one just using a couple of different random pieces such as this pentagonal tile and this claw piece to create an interesting looking sculpture. But coming back over, we then move into these larger flowers, and I was really scared of using large flowers here, but because this is a Lego world, and because these flowers actually get pretty large back on the original model, I did think it was okay if I added some larger flowers. Again, these came off the pad wall, and I think that they look really, really bright and colourful. Imagine them as some very, very like loud and large chrysanthemums or something as well. Of course, have the Series 22 mushroom guy from the Forest Elf, and he's in this model here somewhere. We have a jogging minifigure down on the path here, and actually along this path there are some even more off-round trails which allow you to explore further into the undergrowth. But back on the main path we have a little bird or animal watcher here who's observing this bee doing some pollination. I love that that is just up on some transparent rods. And one thing I should mention is with the lights, this model has looked quite atmospheric at night, so hopefully I'll be interspersing some of the night shots that we've taken with this model through this video. Off the other path, we have a squirrel down here in the daisies and some more yellow flowers. We've got a little beetle, which is my spare from the official set. And then on this path here, you can see there's a bit of an incident going on as this very panicked looking mum is dragging her kid away from the flowers because it looks like he has picked one, and you can see he's not very happy about being dragged off, but she is a bit worried that she has committed a horticultural crime here. Luckily, I think all the important plants are most away and locked away in proper beds. However, if I was her, I would definitely still be panicked as well. As this path continues, it goes into our first sort of woodland section, this one being a bluebell walk. These are quite a common one here in the UK, specifically I think back to my time exploring one at Kew Gardens, where we've got these really oversized bluebells here using the petite bouquet, and then some of the ferns I recently picked up off the pick-a-brick wall here to create that classic fir tree design which we're seeing in every single person's mock at the moment because it is just such an incredible design. And the goal is that this just sort of winds around. We've got some bluebells of areas around and a little bench here to enjoy this little woodland grove. And the idea this is showing off the woodland communities that we can have here in the UK. We have two birds down on the wall, and this guy is taking a photograph. And then as that links us back up, we actually rejoins with the previous path, every road leads to Rome, and brings us to our gazebo as well, where we've got a little couple in there at the moment who are just enjoying the space. And as I mentioned, this is actually using the plum blossoms pots here for a roof, and it is only loosely attached so that you can see what's going on. I nearly made this a proposal scene, but decided to leave it out. And those candlesticks also came from the pad wall, as well as even those white windows a couple of years back as well. We've got this little family here taking grandpa out for a walk, although that is a spider there who might be causing some trouble for this family before too long. And it brings us to this back left corner, which is actually kind of hard to get a look at, but this is the woodland walk section. It is designed to be an undercover walk. It's not like hugely maintenance. There's no fixed paths, but it's an idea that you can just explore among the trees. And there are 6 trees in here, 4 of which use parts, and they all use leaf parts from the Deco Tree set. However, all 6 of these trees are completely custom. I took inspiration from the design. However, you can notice that they are maybe a little bit more malformed. They've got a bit more mixed colors, some more variation in height. Obviously, these branch sections at the top are the identical, but all these slopes completely done without the instructions. And then 2 more trees, this one here and then this really long one at the back here, are actually using the parts from Rivendell. And if I just, oh, I'm going to regret this, aren't I? But yoink this out. You can see how different of a design this is. We've got a little root wrapping around for some more gnarly bits and another one sticking out the root. Oh dear, I knew I regret taking that tree out, but all fixed now. But yeah, right, let's see if we can get the camera in there. You can see that we've got another squirrel as well as some rocks, some large boulders around. And who is that but a guy in a tree costume? I chose to keep this portion of the woodland empty so that the little sort of maintenance truck can sort of roll out and then out into the main space. So this is sort of the maintenance bay around the back. There's that amazing Easter egg from the official set where the bunny has nibbled on the plants. And then as we go back into the woodland, you can get another look at the tree costume guy. And then our two woodland sprites are right back here on the corner. They were a little too tall for me to insert them into the flower beds, but I love both of these figures and I think they're really, really cute. So I'm glad to have included them in this mock. And then there's some ferns and so on. Not much back here. I could have put some people wandering, but I wanted it to feel a bit more dense. And then as we come over, you can see the back of that maintenance bay. Here is one of the workers who is shoveling some cut grass into this sort of pile. And then there's another squirrel in that bin down there. Again, this is part of the official set, but the reason I made this a maintenance area is because it connects with the hosing and watering section from the official set, which is much appreciated in my opinion. From this angle, actually, we get an interesting look at the rest of the garden, if I change our focus there. And you can see what I mean about it being very, very bright and busy. But let's come back down and over now, as we've got this woman here pushing her baby down the path. We've got this other babysitter. I didn't plan for those to be so close together, but oh well. And I'm not going to talk much about the actual glass house itself, because it's a fantastic set. This extreme bird watcher up here. He's focus down on that yellow bird from such a distance. It's fantastic. I'm not going to talk about the official set because I really haven't made too many modifications to it at all, apart from the addition of flickering lights, birds to the steps here, and I love this leaf blower, and I've just attached this leaf here to a minifigure poser piece to simulate it being blown away. Got another minifigure here. This one has a custom torso from the London Leicester Square build a minifigure stand, you know, like the printing one. And then of course I had to include our little alien tourist as well, who's enjoying his time visiting the Lego City. There's one more space figure up here. The UFO man is being abducted and flying away. You can see him here on his transparent rods like so. So it kind of looks like he's off to space and back. But let's bring it back down to the right side of the garden now, because we're over here and we've got two paths to follow. One from the central fountain, which sort of snakes in and out, and then we've got another straight one that goes behind. Continue along the straight one, we've got the extension of the central bed. We've got these golden flowers next to the sculpture, which of course has a korok. This bird watcher is eyeing up the birds on the step, as well as this blue one on the entrance here. And I love our little Zelda reference. And of course, he has to be in the golden flowers, very similar to our Sunderlines and Skyland trees. And then we have this big bed, very organized and planted. It's very much a swathe. And you can see that there's this green area that maybe hasn't grown yet that sort of spreads around it. And of course, this camera lady here has had her attention taken by a butterfly. And we've got the blind man and his assistant that came in the official set. Yes, I know that this was actually a glasshouse worker in the official set, but I've changed that role up. And he is smelling the flowers and enjoying these senses as well. On the other path, it snakes backwards and forwards. We've got this lovely red flower border. We've got this jogging couple down here as well, if I can get the focus on them. And then over here is our pollination garden, where we have our little sunflower bed, just as a demonstration. We have two little beehives, which are vaguely inspired by the new Friends set, although I wish I had that one to make them look better, because those hexagonal garden pods are amazing. But we've got a worker here in a bee costume, a child that looks rather unimpressed, and someone doing some pruning and watering. There's even another bee here, just to demonstrate the fact. And I like that it's sort of a bit different when you focus in, as well as, of course, filling the space quite nicely from above. But we've got a second beehive over here. The only 4 prefab trees on the model surround the entrance. And yeah, just this nice curvy border with a bit of open space going into this sort of wild section here with some blue and purple flowers, a chicken, and then a spider, got a lost hiker, and a guy that probably shouldn't be walking the botanical gardens, but here he is. You'll notice that this area is raised up. I'm going to talk to you about the arid garden in a second, as well as show you some inspiration pictures for why this exists, because yeah, I can understand that this might be a bit jarring compared to all the rest of the garden, but it is bordered off with this herbaceous border here, followed by this penned off area where we have some more deserty plants, as well as a little mushroom setup as well. So very different, and I'm not entirely a fan of this section here, but it will do. Over on the back we have another worker who is preparing to dig up this border and plant something here. Looks like it might be out of season, and that brings us into the picnic area. We have a couple of common Octane Easter eggs that appear in the mocks. We have the cornflake box, makes its way into pretty much everything we do. We have him eating a pavlova or a tart, I want to say dessert pie with a spoon and a fork, and this poor cockatoo looks very interested. Sometimes you see peacocks and other birds at these places, so it looks like that pie will not be going in this poor man, although he hasn't seen him yet, so who knows. We've got a painter here making use of this new paint piece from Build a Minifigure. I really like that flower design and it just fits so perfectly with this. We've actually got Lester here, who is the London store figure. He is just on his walk off to the tropical house, because that is how they've been designated, as we've got the main glass house here, and then the tropical one off to the side. Then down here, we have a couple more people. We have the ice cream bandits, who are the ice cream vendors for this place, and they look happy enough. We've got a guy here who's just been served, an empty picnic table, a guy on a picnic rug here who's weighing up between a cake and a croissant, and then two people having drinks and pizza around the back as well. And of course, these two squirrels conversing in the tree with an acorn nut between them. As we move into the hothouse then, and we'll take the path up to the arid garden, we've got this scene here where we've got another mascot character, the guy with the carnivorous plant, where you can take photo ops. I actually went to a garden which had, well, it wasn't a person in a suit, but a large carnivorous plant that you could take a photo by, and if I had the 2018 Jungle City set, I would just do that instead. But this CMF is wonderful, and this child is having a photo taken, except for, I think we can tell that Grandpa here is using the phone the wrong way around, if I grab him. So the screen is facing the child, meaning that that photo is totally not going to come out very well at all. Over into the glass house, the interior has remained unchanged, so I won't be showing you guys that today. But I didn't really love this raised area. Well, I loved what was on it, being this pond and cherry tree, but I wanted to build it into a further exhibit, which is why we've got this raised up dry garden. The direct inspiration for this is the area behind the Princess of Wales Conservatory in the Botanical Gardens at Kew in London, UK, where they have this sort of rocky dry garden which focuses a lot more on succulents, although this one focuses more on fungi and other epiphytes, so plants that go out of rocks and other trees, where you've got small batches of mushrooms here, a small waterfall with some more ducks. Should have hidden a treasure chest behind that, as well as these cupcake pieces inverted to be mushrooms. We've got succulents here, inspired by the design on Andrea's mansion, and then various other sort of cap and bar mushrooms all throughout. A couple of trees, nothing too special here, and so on, but just a really different area to go on the right side of this display. But one that I do quite like, because as I mentioned, this section almost functions as its own display, and then this one comes together. But together, it creates something a little bit different, even if it does very much stand out and doesn't match the natural flow that we have across the middle here. Overall, I really love this one. It was something very different. I'm kind of torn as to whether I think it's any good, because obviously my opinion of whether I like it is just very different from whether it's actually functionally any good at all. However, I do just like how things turned out here. And how bright and colourful it was. It was a lot of fun to put together. I got to shove a load of Easter eggs in there as usual, and yeah, I feel like it really captured the vibe of what I was going for and demonstrated the proof of concept. But I think I still have a long way to go as a builder yet. I certainly don't love this area. I was surprised by the dry garden. I wasn't expecting it to sort of work as well as I think it does in the end, especially when it has to fit in with all of this other stuff too. However, I think as a whole package, it flows quite nicely, and I like the asymmetry. Maybe some more trees would have been a good idea, but I really like the gazebo and the woodland bit in the front corner and the trees in the back. I was almost unsure if I would actually be able to fill it all, but I think I probably could have had an extra base plate on, and it definitely should have been Mills plated as well. But I'm going to leave it there rather than let this drag on. Here is my Botanical Gardens expanded mock. I really like it. Let me know what you think down below, and I will see you again in a future video. Bye bye.